History whispers the names of many great leaders, but few names echo with the power and grandeur of Alexander the Great. Born in a time of warring kingdoms, Alexander dared to dream of a united empire. From the dusty plains of Persia to the bustling cities of Egypt, his name became synonymous with victory. Join us as we explore the life and times of Alexander the Great. He was more than just a conqueror, he was a visionary. Alexander's journey began in the kingdom of Macedon, where he was born into a royal family. Under the tutelage of the renowned philosopher Aristotle, Alexander's mind blossomed.
Even as a young boy, I displayed extraordinary courage and ambition.
At the tender age of 20, Alexander ascended to the throne of Macedon following his father's assassination. Fueled by ambition and a thirst for glory, Alexander embarked on a campaign that would change the course of history. The ancient world held its breath as Alexander's star began to rise. His enemies underestimated him, mistaking his youth for inexperience. Alexander's conquests were not simply about expanding his empire. He sought to break down barriers between cultures, promoting exchange and understanding. Join us as we delve deeper into the life and times of Alexander the Great, a conqueror, a visionary, and a legend for the ages. The year was 356 BC. In the heart of Macedon, a momentous event was about to unfold.
My wife Olympias is about to give birth to an heir who will inherit not only a kingdom but also a destiny that will change the course of history.
As the sun cast its golden rays upon the rugged Macedonian landscape, a son was born. He was named Alexander.
From his earliest days, Alexander displayed an unquenchable thirst for knowledge and an unyielding spirit.
Recognizing his son's extraordinary potential, King Philip sought out the most brilliant mind in Greece to tutor the young prince. Young Alexander Aristotle's arrival at the Macedonian court marked the beginning of a remarkable educational journey for me. Under Aristotle's tutelage, Alexander's mind blossomed. Young Alexander Aristotle instilled in me a deep appreciation for the power of reason, the importance of virtue, and the pursuit of excellence in all endeavors. Beyond the traditional subjects, Aristotle also recognized Alexander's fascination with the natural world. As Alexander blossomed under Aristotle's tutelage, his father, King Philip, was busy forging a powerful Macedonian kingdom. King Philip II, I introduced innovative military tactics, including the use of the phalanx and the cavalry charge. Philip's ambition knew no bounds. He dreamed of uniting the fractious Greek city-states under his rule and launching a campaign against the Persian Empire. Young Alexander, little did they know, I was about to embark on a path that would eclipse even the grandest visions of my father. Upon ascending the throne, Alexander faced numerous challenges. Young Alexander, I moved swiftly and decisively to quell these uprisings, demonstrating both my military prowess and my unwavering determination to consolidate my power. One of the most enduring legends associated with Alexander's early reign is that of the Gordian Knot. Young Alexander. When I arrived in Gordium, I was intrigued by the challenge. I examined the knot from all angles, contemplating the best way to untie it. With his kingdom secured, Alexander set his sights on the ultimate prize, the Persian Empire.
The Persian Empire, ruled by me, was a vast and wealthy realm, stretching from Egypt in the west to the Indus River in the east.
The first major clash between the Macedonians and the Persians occurred at the Granicus River in May of 334 BC.
The Battle of Granicus was a resounding victory for us.
Darius III, initially dismissive of Alexander's ambitions, now realized the gravity of the threat posed by the young Macedonian king. Following his victory at the Granicus River, Alexander pressed eastward, his army swelling with recruits from the Greek city-states eager to share in his glory.
Stung by my earlier defeat, I assembled a massive army, determined to crush the Macedonian upstart and drive him back into the sea.
The Persians vastly outnumbered the Macedonians, but the narrow terrain of the battlefield negated their numerical advantage.
As the battle commenced, I launched a furious assault on the Persian left, aiming to break through their lines and reach Darius.
The victory at Issus sent shockwaves through the Persian Empire.
The city of Tyre, situated on an island just off the coast, posed a formidable challenge.
For 7 long months, the siege of Tyre raged on. Alexander's engineers constructed a massive causeway connecting the mainland to the island.
Gaza, another heavily fortified city on the coastal road to Egypt, was my next target.
Alexander's conquests were not just battles won, they were a testament to his relentless drive and the ingenuity of his strategies. With the Persian Empire crumbling before him, Alexander turned his attention to Egypt, the breadbasket of the ancient world and a jewel in the Persian crown. Alexander, ever the astute politician, recognized the importance of winning over the Egyptian people. While in Egypt, Alexander founded the city of Alexandria at the mouth of the Nile River. Alexander's conquest of Egypt had been remarkably swift and bloodless. Following his triumphs in Egypt, Alexander turned his attention back to the heart of the Persian Empire. Darius assembled a massive army, drawing on troops from every corner of his vast empire. The two armies met on October 1, 331 BC, near the village of Gaugamela. The Battle of Gaugamela would become the defining moment of Alexander's career. Darius had chosen a level plain to allow his superior numbers to maneuver effectively.
Darius may have the numbers, but we have the strategy. We will create a gap in their lines and strike with a decisive cavalry charge.
The Battle of Gaugamela was a resounding victory for Alexander. His tactical brilliance, combined with the courage and discipline of his troops, had shattered the Persian army and sent Darius fleeing for his life. The Persian Empire, once the dominant power in the east, lay in ruins. Alexander entered Babylon, Susa, and Persepolis, the great cities of the Persian heartland, as a conqueror. Yet Alexander's thirst for conquest was far from quenched. He pursued Darius relentlessly, chasing him across the mountains and deserts of Persia. However, Darius's own men turned against him, and he was assassinated by a group of his own satraps. Alexander, upon learning of Darius's death, mourned his fallen enemy and gave him a royal burial.
Darius was a worthy adversary. He deserves to be honored as a king, even in death.
With the Persian Empire conquered, Alexander set his sights further east, determined to reach the ends of the known world. He led his army across the Hindu Kush mountains into India, where he fought a series of bloody battles against the Indian king Porus and his war elephants. Although victorious in battle, Alexander's army, weary from years of constant campaigning and yearning for home, refused to go any further. Disappointed but ever the pragmatist, Alexander agreed to turn back. He had reached the limits of his empire and the limits of his army's endurance. Alexander's conquests were more than just military triumphs, they were catalysts for cultural exchange. He encouraged his soldiers to embrace local customs. Alexander himself adopted Persian attire and married Roxana. This fusion of East and West was a conscious effort to create a new world order. He envisioned a world where cultural barriers were broken down. His cities became melting pots of cultures and ideas. Greek philosophy spread eastward, while Eastern knowledge enriched the West. Alexander's reign marked the beginning of the Hellenistic period, a vibrant era of cultural exchange. Alexander's thirst for knowledge was as boundless as his ambition for conquest. He traveled with a retinue of scholars, scientists, and philosophers who documented the flora and fauna of the lands they encountered, studied the customs and beliefs of different peoples, and collected valuable manuscripts and artifacts. He encouraged his scholars to share their findings, to engage in intellectual discourse, and to push the boundaries of human knowledge. He understood that knowledge was power, not just in a military sense, but also in its ability to illuminate the world, to foster understanding between cultures, and to inspire future generations. Alexander's legacy as a patron of knowledge is perhaps best exemplified by the Library of Alexandria, a grand repository of learning that he envisioned but did not live to see completed. The library, built by his successors in the Egyptian city he had founded, became the greatest center of learning in the ancient world, attracting scholars from far and wide. Its vast collection, estimated to have contained hundreds of thousands of scrolls, encompassed every field of human knowledge, from philosophy and literature to mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. The Library of Alexandria stood as a testament to Alexander's belief in the power of knowledge and his vision of a world united by learning. Of all the cities founded by Alexander, none could rival the grandeur and influence of Alexandria, the city that bore his name and embodied his vision of a cosmopolitan metropolis. Strategically located at the mouth of the Nile River, Alexandria became the gateway between East and West, a hub of trade, commerce, and cultural exchange. Its harbor, one of the largest and most sophisticated in the ancient world, bustled with activity, as ships laden with goods from as far afield as India and China arrived and departed, their sails billowing in the Mediterranean breeze. Merchants from Greece, Persia, Egypt, and beyond thronged its streets, their languages and customs mingling in a vibrant tapestry of human interaction. Alexandria was more than just a commercial center, it was a beacon of knowledge, a magnet for artists, intellectuals, and scholars from across the Hellenistic world. The Library of Alexandria, with its vast collection of scrolls and its community of resident scholars, attracted some of the brightest minds of the era. The city also boasted the Museum, a research institute that served as a forerunner to the modern university. Here, scientists, mathematicians, and philosophers conducted research, collaborated on projects, and pushed the boundaries of human understanding. Alexandria, under the Ptolemaic dynasty that succeeded Alexander, became the intellectual and cultural capital of the Hellenistic world, a testament to the enduring legacy of its founder.
The weight of a united world, it is heavier than any sword I have ever wielded.
Alexander's relentless ambition took a toll on him and his army. Years of constant campaigning had wearied even the most hardened veterans. My soldiers admire the vision, but they struggle with the customs of those they now rule. Despite his efforts to present himself as a god-king, Alexander faced resistance and rebellion. In the spring of 323 BC, at the age of 32, Alexander the Great's meteoric journey came to an abrupt end in the city of Babylon. Weakened by years of campaigning, possibly felled by malaria or typhoid fever, the conqueror who had brought the world to its knees succumbed to an enemy he could not defeat: mortality. His empire, vast and sprawling, lacked a clear successor, his generals, loyal but ambitious, vying for control of the fragments of his legacy. Alexander's dream of a united world, a harmonious blend of East and West, would prove to be fleeting. His empire fractured into rival kingdoms, each ruled by one of his generals, the Diadochi, who fought amongst themselves for power and influence. Yet, even in death, Alexander's impact on the world remained profound. He had redrawn the map of the ancient world, toppling empires, founding cities, and leaving an indelible mark on the course of history. The Hellenistic period, that vibrant era of cultural exchange and intellectual flourishing, was his enduring legacy. The cities he founded, especially Alexandria, became centers of learning and commerce, their libraries and universities preserving and expanding upon the knowledge he had championed. His legend, passed down through generations, inspired countless rulers, generals, and dreamers, a testament to the enduring power of ambition, vision, and the human spirit's boundless capacity for both conquest and creation. Alexander's conquests, while awe-inspiring, came at a price. Years of constant campaigning took a toll on his soldiers. The men who had shared in his victories were growing weary.
They had left behind families, lured by the promise of glory. Many endured bloodshed, loss, and the constant threat of death.
The lure of plunder had faded, replaced by a longing for home. Alexander, driven by ambition, seemed oblivious to the growing fatigue. Yet, even the most loyal soldier has his breaking point. As Alexander's empire expanded, so too did the challenges of governing it. He had conquered vast territories, encompassing a multitude of cultures, languages, and religions.
Holding this patchwork of peoples together, instilling loyalty and obedience in those accustomed to ruling themselves, proved to be a daunting task.
The Macedonian and Greek nobles who made up Alexander's inner circle, while loyal to their king, clung to their own customs and traditions. They viewed the Persians and other conquered peoples with a mixture of suspicion and disdain, an attitude that bred resentment and fueled resistance.
Recognizing the need to secure the loyalty of my new subjects, I adopted Persian customs and attire. I encouraged my officers to marry Persian women, hoping to create a new ruling class, a blend of Macedonian might and Persian sophistication.
This policy, however, further alienated some of his veteran troops, who saw it as a betrayal of their own cultural identity. The very qualities that had made Alexander a brilliant conqueror, his unwavering self-belief, his thirst for glory, his ruthlessness in crushing opposition, now posed challenges to his ability to rule effectively. His ambition, once a source of inspiration, now threatened to unravel the empire he had so painstakingly built. The simmering discontent within Alexander's army finally boiled over in 324 BC at Opis, a city on the Tigris River. Alexander, having just returned from his grueling Indian campaign, announced his intention to discharge a significant portion of his veteran Macedonian troops, replacing them with fresh recruits from Persia and other conquered lands.
This decision, while perhaps strategically sound, proved to be a grave miscalculation. The Macedonian veterans, many of whom had fought alongside me for over a decade, felt betrayed.
They had endured unimaginable hardships, shed blood and sweat for their king, and now they were being cast aside. The mutiny at Opis was as swift as it was unexpected. The soldiers, fueled by years of pent-up resentment and a sense of betrayal, openly challenged Alexander's authority.
They accused me of becoming too Persian, of forgetting my Macedonian roots, of abandoning the very men who had helped me achieve my conquests.
The situation was dire. Alexander, accustomed to unquestioning obedience, was taken aback by the ferocity of his troops' rebellion. He realized that he had pushed them too far, that his ambition had blinded him to their sacrifices and their growing discontent. The mutiny at Opis was a turning point in Alexander's reign, a stark reminder that even the mightiest of conquerors could not rule by force alone. The mutiny at Opis exposed the growing rift between Alexander and his Macedonian troops. While Alexander managed to quell the uprising and reconcile with his men, the incident left an indelible mark on him. He became increasingly isolated, more reliant on Persian advisors and more prone to fits of rage and paranoia.
This darker side of my personality, fueled by alcohol and a growing sense of my own divinity, culminated in the tragic death of Clitus the Black, one of my most trusted generals and closest friends.
During a drunken banquet in Samarkand in 328 BC, Clitus, emboldened by wine, dared to criticize Alexander's adoption of Persian customs and his increasingly autocratic behavior.
My pride wounded and my judgment clouded by alcohol, I flew into a rage. I grabbed a spear and in a fit of blind fury, ran Clitus through, killing my loyal friend instantly.
The banquet hall fell silent, the revelry replaced by shock and horror. The enormity of his deed, the senseless murder of a man who had saved his life on the battlefield, sobered Alexander instantly. Grief and remorse overwhelmed him. He shut himself away for days, refusing food and drink, consumed by guilt and despair. The death of Clitus the Black cast a long shadow over Alexander's remaining years, a constant reminder of the destructive power of his own unchecked passions. Alexander the Great's life was a whirlwind of conquest, ambition, and cultural revolution. He forged an empire from Greece to the Indus River, spreading Greek culture and ideas. Yet, Alexander remains an enigmatic figure, his motivations shrouded in mystery. Was he a visionary leader or a ruthless conqueror driven by glory? His early death left many questions unanswered. What would have become of his empire had he lived longer? Alexander's legacy is a tapestry of ambition, brilliance, ruthlessness, and tragedy. His story continues to fascinate and inspire us, a reminder of the enduring power of dreams and the price of greatness. The sudden death of Alexander the Great sent shockwaves throughout the known world. The young king, who had seemed invincible, who had toppled empires and redrawn the map of the world, was gone. His empire, vast and sprawling, was left without a clear heir, its future uncertain. The outpouring of grief was immense. From the bustling streets of Alexandria to the remote villages of Macedon, people mourned the loss of the conqueror who had captured their imaginations and inspired their dreams. His generals, loyal but ambitious, were left to grapple with the daunting task of dividing his empire and securing their own legacies. Yet even in death, Alexander's influence did not wane. His name continued to resonate through the halls of power, whispered in hushed tones by kings and generals, invoked as a symbol of military genius, boundless ambition, and the intoxicating allure of glory. His story, passed down through generations, became the stuff of legends, his exploits embellished with each retelling. The empire he had forged might have fractured, but the impact of his conquests, the cultural fusion he had set in motion, these would continue to shape the world for centuries to come. Alexander's legacy, like the man himself, was a complex and multifaceted creation, a blend of light and shadow, of triumph and tragedy, that continues to fascinate and inspire us today. Alexander's conquests were more than just military campaigns. They were catalysts for cultural exchange and intellectual innovation on an unprecedented scale. His empire, though short-lived, served as a crucible in which the cultures of East and West mingled and interacted, giving rise to the Hellenistic period, a vibrant era of artistic, scientific, and philosophical flourishing. The cities he founded, strategically located at the crossroads of trade routes, became melting pots of cultures and ideas. Alexandria, his namesake city, emerged as the intellectual capital of the Hellenistic world, its library and museum attracting scholars, scientists, and artists from far and wide. Here, Greek philosophy and Eastern mysticism, Egyptian astronomy and Babylonian mathematics found common ground, pushing the boundaries of human knowledge and understanding. The spread of Greek language and culture throughout Alexander's empire, known as Hellenization, had a profound impact on the development of Western civilization. Greek became the language of scholarship, diplomacy, and commerce, facilitating the exchange of ideas and the dissemination of knowledge throughout the Mediterranean world and beyond. Alexander's conquests paved the way for the rise of Rome, which inherited the eastern provinces of his empire and absorbed much of Greek culture. The Roman Empire, in turn, would spread its own version of Hellenistic culture throughout Europe, laying the groundwork for the Renaissance and the birth of modern Western civilization. Alexander the Great's legacy is a subject of ongoing debate and interpretation. Was he a visionary leader who sought to unite the world under a banner of peace and cultural exchange, or was he a ruthless conqueror driven by an insatiable thirst for glory and power? His admirers point to his military genius, his charisma, his thirst for knowledge, and his vision of a cosmopolitan world where cultures could coexist and thrive. They argue that his conquests, while undoubtedly brutal, ultimately spread Greek culture and paved the way for a more interconnected world. His detractors, however, emphasize the brutality of his conquests, the destruction he wrought upon the Persian Empire, and the cultural imperialism inherent in Hellenization. They argue that his empire was built on bloodshed, and that his legacy is tarnished by his own excesses and the suffering he inflicted upon others. The truth, as is often the case, likely lies somewhere in between these two extremes. Alexander was a product of his time, an era when conquest was a fact of life, and empires were built and maintained through military might. He was a complex and contradictory figure, capable of both great generosity and ruthless cruelty, driven by ambition, idealism, and a deep-seated belief in his own destiny. Despite the controversies surrounding his life and legacy, Alexander the Great remains one of the most enduring figures in history. His story, a tale of ambition, conquest, and cultural revolution, continues to capture the imagination and inspire awe centuries after his death. His name has become synonymous with military genius, his conquests studied and emulated by generals throughout the ages. His vision of a united world, though ultimately unrealized, continues to resonate with those who seek to bridge cultural divides and promote understanding between peoples. Alexander's story teaches us about the power of ambition, the allure of glory, and the enduring legacy of human achievement. It reminds us that even in the face of overwhelming odds, courage, determination, and a belief in one's vision can achieve the seemingly impossible. And so, Alexander the Great, the boy king who conquered the world, the visionary who dreamed of uniting East and West, the enigmatic figure whose legacy continues to be debated and reinterpreted, takes his place among the immortals of history, his story forever etched in the annals of human experience.